Wonder Woman issue 30, legacy number 830. This is Stephanie Williams writing with Jeffrey Spokes on the art. The second half of this two-part fill-in story, where all the Wonder Girls and a couple of the Amazons like Nubia are being like manipulated and corrupted by Strife. Or I call her Strife. I mean, they keep calling her, was it Esri?
Yeah, Eris, which is the Greek name for the goddess of, but yeah, it is Strife, right? That's how we were introduced to her, I believe. So from hence shall be called. I do like the moral of this story of where it goes. I just don't know if it was worth 2 issues. You know, like there's a lot of rehashing similar motives and things, but ultimately I like what Stephanie Williams is saying about doubt and what that means to be like attached to Diana, right? Because Diana is kind of this figure that is the end all be all for a lot of these characters. And if you have this doubt that you'll never add up to her instead of just being yourself, you're going to ultimately fail, right? So don't try to be Diana, try to be you, because you're unique. And so I love that. I just, over the course of the 2 issues, the constant fights and the arguing and them doing this type of stuff was a little bit much, so it's definitely in a weird spot.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't super hot in the last issue. It felt very fill-in to me, and I still think that way about this issue. It's I think it's like almost a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because I mean, I like what she's saying about about the characters and like the fact that this is actually a strength, and the reason why it is corruptible is because they care about these things, and that makes them loving and so on. Like I'm fine with that, but I think the craft of these 2 issues is just a little bit dull, and I think it suffers because on the one hand, I think if you condensed it into 1 issue, it would maybe feel rushed, and it would feel like the villain wasn't that like imposing, but this already feels stretched out in some ways, so I think trying to flesh it out even more, you'd have to actually have more story to go along with this, because ultimately, one big fight started last issue, and that big fight's still going this issue until it's over. And it's not like there's a lot of interesting things going on in there, other than some of the statements being made.
If we had a little bit more, 1 or 2 issues more to kind of set up that they're upset with each other, and there's almost like this sense of the discord and the strife between them, and just Lizzie's presence there and what that means for Wonder Girl and the whole concept of Wonder Girl. I think this fight might have landed a little bit better, but you're right. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because it's almost like it's going halfway, but it needs to go a little bit more than half. But yeah, I liked all the interactions between them still. Like, I feel like Stephanie Williams has the voices down. That's all still consistent. I just wish the way that the story was told was handled differently.
Yeah, and they do thought bubbles in this issue where you sort of hear kind of the doubts before they say something. Particularly early on in the issue, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But the actual fighting is not particularly... And honestly, I thought it was a bit weird to me that Wonder Woman returns halfway through the issue and helps the fight and kind of like... And I get that, obviously, she's the one who talks them all down and sort of explains why all these things are their strengths and that's what makes them good. I think the problem is that, the whole premise of this 2-parter for me seemed to be like all them looking after Lizzie without Wonder Woman. So her showing back up before the story wrapped up. Like what I was expecting, I guess, was her showing up in the last couple of pages and being like, "Oh, was there any problems?" And then them all having the sort of the comedy beat of like, "Nah, she was a dream. It was fine. Nothing happened."
Yeah, the sitcom babysitting episode where we just got everything back together before Mom and Dad walk in. Yeah, her presence there too, because that was the whole point of it, so she could go get her mind off of these type of things. But Strife has other plans. I do like the way that that Strife or Eris brings like the doubts to life with these like black cloud figures of them. So like there's that page where they're the doubts are talking to them, and like there's the one of the different 2 Amazons. I'm drawing a blank on their names, But, they're saying, just a scribe, never a warrior. They only tolerate you out of pity. So they're like, the dark thoughts, right, are given form, and you can't listen to those thoughts, right? You have to know your worth. So I thought that was a fun way to bring those to life.
Yeah, it's like manifestation. So there's almost like a hey, they're going to fight duplicates of themselves kind of thing, which it's fine, but it's obviously not that new from comic book. We've done a lot of like doppelgangers fighting or heroes fighting heroes or whatever. So it's like I kind of like some of the things that it's touching on, but I was never into how the story was being told or got that invested in it because there wasn't really that much here really in the grand scheme of things. I think it's I'm just glad it's over. And I'm glad we're back to the regular run next issue.
And again, this was an issue from last time too. Spokes and some of the faces. I feel like you just changed the hair on them, and that's it. There's a page at the very end when it's the 3 Wonder Girls, and they're all looking. It's from Lizzie's perspective, and I swear all Spokes did was change the hair color and style. Those are all 3 the same faces, right? So like that's a bit of an issue when it comes to the art, but I think that's just Spoke style. So I guess it ultimately comes down to taste because like the breakdowns are fine. I just some of the fine tuning again, but we say this with Spokes every time. Every time we've had a book that he draws. So
yeah. I think making it a bit more focused as well. I think having a couple of extra Amazons just murkied the water. See if it was just the 3 Wonder Girls, maybe, or and have them like voice some of their like insecurities about I don't deserve this because I'm from a different tribe. I don't deserve this because I'm not really an Amazon or whatever. Like all these like fears that were kind of bubbling up. Like maybe there's something to that. It'd have been nice if they were seeded before we did this story, and it would have been nice if to just be a bit more focused.
Yeah, and then having Nubia there almost instead of Diana, she comes in and is like, guys, what are you doing? You all know what you're about. Diana wouldn't have chosen you to take care of the baby if she didn't, believe in you fully. That almost would have been a better kind of flip around than Diana coming in and saving the day. So,
and there's some teases towards the end with Strife planting a seed and say because that was like her whole goal was to seal some of these things, and she only got one, but that'll be enough. And it's basically teasing the Wonder War that's coming, and she says a couple of ominous things about you've not seen the whole picture. I know this girl's going to bring the end of everything or something like that. I can't remember what the exact line is, but so obviously there's a couple of things in there that she's like Williams is teasing on behalf of King for where this run's going. Which I appreciate, but ultimately I'm never going to think that fondly of these 2 issues. So that's what it is. Just kind of getting through it, and that's about it. All right, what are you giving Wonder Woman, Matt?
I'll give this a 6.5.
I will go. I'll go a point lower. I'll say 5.5.
All right.
I just, it was a little bit of a chore reading it, if I'm honest. I'll be glad to be back to the regular Wonder Woman next time.